technology space. We have Dr. Rubel Patel, we have Roger Kibbe, and all of you, feel free to come and join us up on stage. As Ian said, we are streaming this through Attention Live, and it is being recorded, so just be aware of that if you come on up. But other than that, we're just going to chat. We're going to have some fun. And the other thing that you might be interested to know is that through this process, Attention Live, we're also creating NFTs for everybody here in the room. And the way you do that is you simply go to thevoiceden.club. There you will see a place to put in your name, your email address, and you need a secret code. And I was thinking about the secret code today, Ian, and we didn't actually come up with one beforehand. But I was wondering, because you know what I think? Roger's always supporting us here. Rubel does too, but there's something specific I want to say about Roger here. And it seems that everybody's always talking about Alexa and Google, and I think Samsung should get a little bit of love. So I think today the secret code is going to be Bixby. All right, that is the secret code for today. So BIXBY, Samsung Bixby. You put that in, and we will get an NFT sent over to you. And with that, I want to take a moment and introduce our special guests here today. And again, feel free to put up your hand, join us on stage. We're going to just have a very casual chat. Dr. Rubel Patel, I've got to know you, got to know her over the last couple of years, doing incredible work with Vocal ID, all about synthetic voices. And it's actually quite a remarkable story, the origin of this company. Rubel is an extremely intelligent person and leader in the voice space. And she's been recognized as one of the top leaders by a number of different authorities in terms of voice technology. So Rubel, welcome to the Voice Den. It's great to have you here. Do you want to just give us a quick intro to yourself?
Well, thank you, Terry. That's such a warm intro. I'm glad to be here. It's really exciting to be able to talk about voice and to think about what all the different challenges are today, but also all these awesome opportunities. So excited to be here with you. Thank you.
Awesome. All right. And Roger, who I mentioned, Roger, we met a couple of years ago at one of the voice conferences, and Roger immediately struck me as one of the most friendly guys. It was just like, he was so open and welcoming, and we just had this great conversation. So Roger works with Samsung Bixby, as I mentioned, and boy, we've had the opportunity now to interact a number of times in different podcasts and different events, and it's wonderful to have you here as well, Roger. So welcome. Oh, and I forgot to ask Rubel what you're drinking. Roger, what are you drinking? And give us your intro, and then we'll go back to Rubel.
Oh, I am drinking Market Spice tea. So if anybody knows, that's from Seattle, from Pike's Place. There's a place called Market Spice. It has this amazing tea, and I was in Seattle a couple years ago and fell in love with it. So I get it mail order.
Awesome. Love it. Sounds good. What else can you add to your intro?
Oh, yes. Oh, I was waiting to hear. I was waiting to hear what Rubel was drinking, and then I'll do my intro.
Well, let's get to the important stuff first. Good point, Roger. Rubel, what are you drinking first? That's the important part.
I'm just drinking water. I just wolfed down my dinner, so nothing all that special.
All right. Now that we got that out of the way, Roger, do you want to tell us?
So as Terry says, I work for Samsung. I do developer evangelism, which means I talk to developers, designers, and companies about conversational AI and building things for Bixby. I was thinking, I'm just about 4 years ago, I had my cozy corporate IT job, and I went to my boss and said, I'm leaving. There's this cool thing called voice. I'm not really sure exactly what I'm going to do, but I'm going to found a startup around voice. And so I left and founded a startup, and that didn't fully work out. But then it was a lot of fun. And then I did some voice consulting, and then I met Adam Shire, who's a bit of a legend in his industry, and then went to work for Adam. And then so that is why I'm at Samsung right now. But we're coming on near about 4 year. I was just looking up about 4 year anniversary of taking the big jump into voice and figuring out what it's all about. It's been exciting the whole time.
I muted myself through accident. That's awesome, Roger. Great to have you here. Ian, why don't you give us a quick intro to you, my partner in crime here, and then we'll get some other people here on stage. But why don't you take a brief moment here and tell us what you're drinking and what's going on?
I am happy to be here. I'm drinking coffee in one hand, sparkling water in another. Different times though, not at the same time. I'm a big fan of coffee. Decaf coffee is my primary go-to, so I can just drink it all day long. I live in a treehouse with my two children that are 8 and 12. It's not the only place I'm at, but that is definitely the most exciting place to tell you about. And I'm just abundantly thankful and full of gratitude. And I'm full of gratitude for folks that are in this room. I love, Nigel, for you to introduce yourself, as well as Sula and Christos and Amelia and Lewis and Ruth and Brent are jumping on. So yay. Everybody's welcome on stage here. Okay, just understand we have the red icon. It means we're recording. We're streaming this through Attention Live software. So right now, if you have a friend with an Android phone, you have a friend that hasn't yet been invited to Clubhouse, maybe they're in their car and they just want to be able to listen but not be a part of the conversation, they can listen to this conversation live in real time through Amazon's Lexi device. They just say to Amazon's device, open Attention Live. They'll say what channel, and you can say Happy Hour of Voice or Voicefluencer Show or Voice Doctor, Terry Fisher, any of those things will work. And we're giving away NFTs to everybody, as Terry mentioned. So go to the voiceden.club, CLUB, and the special word today is Bixby, as it should be. So everybody, welcome. Nigel, take it away. Tell us who you are and what you're drinking.
Hi, I'm Nigel Wright. A little new to the voice space, but not new to tech. I am drinking literally nothing. I just finished coffee, so I'm kind of with your client right now with the coffee. I see so many people here that I know, and always happy to be in the room. I see my good buddy Lewis, who joined us today, and Christos and Sula. I gotta tell you, I would love to tap in with you guys, because I have a very dear friend that I met on Clubhouse who's an opera singer, and she's taught me so much. So I'm super interested to see what you guys are doing.
Fantastic. Good to see you, Nigel. Great to have you here. Let's move along to Sula, who I just met in the other room. It was fascinating to hear your story. My mom's actually an opera singer, Sula, and then she did music therapy. I grew up in a house of music, so great to have you here. Would love to hear. And at any point, by the way, if anybody has any questions or comments for Rubel, for Roger, for anybody up here, feel free. It's an open discussion. And with that, take it away, Sula.
Hey there. Okay, well, I'm so glad to be in this room. And actually, Terry, I'm from Vancouver originally. I was born and raised there and then moved to Europe to pursue my career in opera. So I am an opera singer. That's what I do for my primary work. In 2019, I saw a need to have transparent and honest conversations within my industry after, having had almost 10 years of experiences in classical music, and just seeing that there are a lot of problems in that industry that nobody talks about. And wanting to create a generous space for artists to have a conversation that leads to real solutions. So that was the first idea behind Living Opera in its first year, mostly using YouTube and social media to reach like-minded people. It seemed to have a bigger impact on like Gen Z and millennials, younger millennials. I'm an older millennial. So that's been I've been trying to figure out how to get my peer group really involved, but all right. I'm also drinking decaf coffee, by the way. And on here with me, who I guess we'll talk after, is Christos, who serves in just dozens of capacities, but in one way he's serving as helping me with technology in Living Opera. One of the things I think is really cool about Living Opera is that I've actually only ever met like maybe one or two community members in real life. Everything has been done online. And this was literally my way of having stuff to do when rehearsal finished, because I just was like, okay, I've been rehearsing for 8 hours. Now what do I do for the rest of the day while I'm, over in China or France or wherever I am today? I'm not just a person that can sit around or just, I got to do stuff. So anyway, that's how it started. Now we're getting really interested in technology and how opera singers can leverage technology to build their own brand as an artist. And this is, we're kind of, it sounds funny to say, but I guess we're like the only people in our space doing this. So it's exciting. I also definitely am not sure like what I'm doing most of the time, but that's why I'm in this room. And that's why I've got Christos. So I'd love it if you could pick it up, Christos, and don't forget to tell us what you're drinking.
You got it, Sula. You're regular in here now. You know the important questions to ask.
Well, first things first, I'm rehydrating, having some more water after dinner. So water is my go-to item. Second would be coffee. My background is kind of at the intersection of technology and economics. I did 2 PhDs, one in engineering, one in economics at Stanford a couple of years ago, and have really fallen in love with the combination of different fields and how you can take tools from one, merge it with another to really solve some of the most pressing problems out there. And so my core focus right now, so like Sula is an opera singer among other things. She takes that kind of arts frontier. I really focus in the research realm. So I serve as a senior advisor on something called the National Artificial Intelligence Institute, which is part of the federal government. I also serve as a research professor with Arizona State University. And I spend a lot of my time thinking about issues around human capital, like how do you promote human capital? What sort of policies at a federal level, at an organizational level, promote human capital? And what really got me captivated about voice tech was when I got to know Ian over a year and a half ago, and seeing this journey and being able to partake of it in small or medium-sized ways has been exciting and really educational for myself. And most importantly, I think it's going to deliver a lot of value to people, because imagine, like, okay, let me just make a quick point on this, and then I'll like turn it back to you, Terry, is I think so many people get discouraged in their educational trajectory. And Sula talked a little bit about this in the performing arts. It's like the teaching in academia and music programs is far from ideal. So many people get intimidated when they don't have a good teacher, when they run into material that's difficult, and they don't have an encouraging and nurturing environment at home. And so voice tech is certainly not a panacea for all of that. I mean, there's never going to be a substitute for the family, but it's certainly an amplifier that can help people get better. So, for example, if you struggle to learn how to code, well, there maybe like in 5 years we'll have ways of voice technology will enable people to learn faster, and also just to be able to dictate to the computer what you want to happen, so that you don't need to know how to do stuff in Python, but you'll be able to dictate to it. So long story short, I got into this through Ian, and just really excited about possibilities. And then getting to know Sula and bridging the arts and technology just opens up a whole new set of possibilities. So with that, turn it back to Terry or anyone else that wants to briefly introduce themselves and continue the conversation.
That's great, Christos. Thanks so much. I just want to turn over to Rubel and Roger for a second. If you guys have any comments of anything that Christoph was saying in terms of if anything resonates with you in particular. If yes, great. I'm happy to hear your comments. Otherwise, we can. Yeah, Roger, go ahead.
Yeah. No, I'm fascinated by anyway the performing arts and that, and I mean, just encouraging people. I have a daughter who's or at this point 16, but destined to go into those. And I'm super interested in how you see emerging tech like voice helping people in performing arts, or helping actually actually doing something for the business. So I'm really fascinated to have you guys up here on stage, and love to hear more about what you're doing.
Likewise, I was going to say that, we were working last year before the pandemic with some really well-known opera singer who's a professor in Portland, in Portland, as well as a conductor. And we're actually creating a piece where part of the piece would be an AI voice, and it would be intermingled with the singing. And so I think there's a lot of interesting ways for self-expression through this new technology as well. And I'm fascinated by sort of the new kinds of media that we can create, and the new art forms that we can create as a result of it. So super exciting.
Fantastic. Yeah. It's amazing just how many verticals are going to be impacted by voice, and we're seeing it, right? It's every single possible way that you can experience life is going to be impacted by voice. So, but hey, I'm sort of preaching to the choir somewhat here. But anyway, having said all that, let's move along here. I'd love to meet Amelia. Amelia, welcome to the stage. I see that you are taking a gap year. I'd love to hear more about that. Welcome.
Hi, I'm Amelia. I graduated high school in May of 2020, but because of COVID, I decided to defer my acceptance to Berkeley. And after seeing this pandemic play out, I do not regret that decision. But still, I'm very excited to attend college in the fall. Hopefully it'll be in person if I can get vaccinated. But, in the meantime, I'm keeping myself occupied on Clubhouse. Anyway, unfortunately, due to my young age, I don't have nearly the life experiences or career expertise of the other people up here. I mean, I was reading Christos's bio. It's just unbelievable. Like, props to you, man. And I wish I could sing. Unfortunately, I have no talent. But anyway, I've always loved AI and technology, but I grew up in a really rural area with poor internet access. So it's never really been accessible to me until like the last 2 or 3 years where I've had good internet. And since I've joined Clubhouse, I've been on all the AI rooms, and it's all just so interesting and fascinating and new. So when I saw the voice room and I saw that it had all this, you know, talks about the intersection between voice and technology, I figured I had to jump in. It just looks so fun. So I'm really excited to be here. I can't wait to learn new things. And hopefully, you know, as you guys get just discussing, maybe there's something I know about that I can provide useful information on.
Well, you said it. Like Roger, why don't you jump in there?
Oh, I was going to just jump in and say, go in the Cal, huh? Well, go Bears, because I'm a Cal alumni. So you go.
Yes.
Yeah, going to the best university in the world, but I'm super biased. But
we're definitely better than all those private schools that they're so good. We are number 4 globally.
All right, we're all biased here and things like that. But hey, congratulations on getting into Cal. Enjoy it. It's really an amazing school. And you'll have a great time. And yeah, I sure hope it's open in the fall for you guys to learn and have some fun.
Definitely.
And I was just going to say, Amelia, although you may feel that your youth is a disadvantage, I'd encourage you to think of it the other way. Like, you've got so much in front of you, and you can try different things and figure out which areas you're passionate about, and like definitely like do that, taste different things and have fun. What a wonderful opportunity, and like what a wonderful stage you are in your life, just to really be able to experiment and see those kind of different industries and verticals and areas of interest. So hey, boy, I'd love to be back in your shoes again.
Definitely. And I think one of the big benefits of being Gen Z is that since we grew up, you know, I don't remember a time before the internet in my own life. And I think Gen Z is the first generation where we're all like that. And one cool thing about the internet is that you can just explore so many different facets of life and different industries with absolutely no effort. You know, like I'm in my bedroom right now talking about the intersection of voice and technology. And, you know, just a few days ago, I was on the internet, you know, reading ebooks, you know, about different philosophical points of view and whatnot. So everything's just so much more accessible to my generation. And I think that that's really cool. And and I hope it leads to more people at my age and in my generation, you know, pursuing their passions, pursuing maybe more niche careers. I really hope it leads to that for sure.
Awesome. Well, hey, thanks so much for joining in the room. You're always welcome here. Oh, yeah. No, I was going to say, did you tell us what you're drinking? Or did I miss it?
Right now I have a bunch of chocolate milk. Apparently I have it, you know, aged past age 5. I drink at least, you know, 15 to 20 ounces a day of chocolate milk. It's ridiculous. But that's like my breakfast every morning. And it's my dinner tonight.
I love chocolate milk. We have chocolate milk in our fridge right now. With that being said, anyway, like I said, it's great to have you here, and you're always welcome. So thanks for being here. Wonderful. Luis, welcome to the Voice Den. We would love to hear a little bit about you. Devoted husband, proud father. I can relate to that. I love it. Music business instructor. We've got some music. We've got the music industry represented here today. Amazing. So, Luis, why don't you tell us what you're drinking and give us a little intro to yourself as well.
Hello, everyone. I'm Louis King. I'm drinking tea. So I'm an independent music publisher, you know, and I do a lot of music business in general, consulting. So I'm very interested in this voice space because it seems to be coming up a lot from, you know, a lot of my publishing clients. One of the big things that seems to be coming up, of course, everybody is interested in the NFTs, but like how could that work in, you know, in the music, and is it a way to protect their rights in there? So I'm not real familiar with technology. I'm like this old throwback music publisher. Like, I'm deep into music publishing, you know, like I'm not scared of technology, but you know, sometimes I just got my head down in the music business, and I've heard from a lot of my, you know, newer clients like, hey man, you know, technology is moving very fast. You need to, you know, be aware of some of the new things going on. So I figured, you know, I'll take the opportunity to start poking around and learning a little bit. Maybe they can, you know, enhance what I do in the music publishing space for some of my clients. So, yep, that's what kind of brought me here.
Well, we're happy to have you here, Lewis. Thanks for joining us. We'd like to have the next four folks on the stage introduce themselves. Anybody else want to come up on stage, raise your hand. Also, if you're here, press the plus sign, invite some folks to join us. This is just a super informal hour from 4:30 to 5:30 Pacific time. Sophie, I see you just jumped in. Great to have you join us today. And so Ruth, would you like to introduce yourself and tell us what you're drinking? And let us know if you have any questions. You know, I'm not sure if you all caught it, but Rubel and Roger are two of the most important leads in the voice tech industry. What Rubel and her team are doing at Vocal ID and what Roger and his team have developed at Samsung Bixby is so good for humanity today and will be even better and better over time. We have a lot of musicians in the room right now. And so I think it's going to be fun for us to have a bit of a focus on the way that Samsung Bixby is empowering musicians, the way that Rubel sees musicians and folks in that industry leveraging tools like Vocal ID. But before we dive in there, Ruth, can you please introduce yourself?
Hi, everyone. My name is Ruth. I'm a conversational designer. I come from a general UX and design background. Love classical music, and crystals and sola. Have you practiced 40 hours today?
Did you have to have they practice 40 hours today? Or?
Yep, it's a meme. It's a classical music meme.
Awesome.
Yeah, well, the short answer is yeah, it definitely takes all these things take so much practice. I actually didn't know it was a meme though. I'm gonna have to Google that. But I'm like very culturally illiterate, so that's not surprising. All right, yeah, that's great to have you.
My favorite YouTube channel on classical music. There are these two guys from Australia. They're violinists, and they produce so much awesome classical music, pop culture content that both legit classical musicians as well as aficionados with no formal training can just get into it and enjoy the theory, the music, get to see Hilary Hahn, stuff like that.
Yeah, you're talking about two-set violin. They're hilarious. I like them.
I love them.
Amazing. Thank you for being here. Again, it's wonderful to hear your voice and always welcome here. I do want to take a quick moment and reset. We're almost halfway through here. As Ian said, we go until 5:30 Pacific. And we are, again, streaming live. So just be aware that if you are coming up on stage, it is streaming and recording. And you can get your own free NFT by going to thevoiceden.club and entering your information there with the special code word Bixby today. And so with that being said, Armel, good to see you. Armel and I go back a couple of years now as well, doing some incredible work in the voice space and audio with treble.fm. Armel, good to see you, buddy. What are you drinking? What's going on?
Hey, Terry. Good to see everybody. I'm drinking mango tea, sweet mango tea. I just tried it, so it's pretty good.
Nice.
So happy to see everybody. I've been kind of dropping in. I took the happy hours of voice. This is the first time actually talking. So yeah. So happy to see Roger again and everybody else. So don't have any questions, but
you're welcome to hang out.
Hey, Armel is being very modest.
He is.
He's like one of the smartest people I know in voice. Every time I talk to Armel, I learn a bunch new. So Armel, it is fabulous to have you on stage, man. Don't be shy in Clubhouse, man. You're an incredible person to talk to, man. So great to have you up here.
I appreciate the kind word, Roger. I like to listen too, so it's good. Always learning.
Well, great. Yeah, don't be shy. You come up here anytime. You're always welcome, Armel. So good to have you up here.
Thanks,
amazing. Sir. All right. Next, we have Leslie. Leslie, good to see you. It's been a pleasure getting to know you. We've got a room scheduled coming up in a little bit. Looking at, we've got another voiceover artist just behind you there, Antasia. And anyway, Leslie, great to have you here as well. I'd love to hear your voice. Do you want to introduce yourself as well?
Hello, everyone. Hope you're well. Greetings from Sydney, Australia. I'd love to say it's sunny, but it's not. It's absolutely pouring down with rain at the moment. While you guys are all enjoying the evening and beverages and all of the things. I am at work. I'm a Sydney-based voice casting professional with a background in audio post-production and talent management. And I have to say, I'm absolutely loving this room today. I feel like we've managed to get all of my favorite people into one space. And there's so much talk about the intersection of creative and technology, which I'm loving. Oh, it's coming up with poor signal, so I don't know if you can hear me. I'm particularly interested in synthetic voicing. So I would love to learn more about that and how licensing is working and who is licensing their voice for synthetic use. So any of the stories and shares and case uses would love to hear. Oh, and I wish I was drinking an espresso martini.
Awesome. Well, Rubel, that sounds like that's the question for you.
Sure. Thanks, Leslie, for that question. I love your voice. So who's using synthetic voice? I think it varies. I think still there is, I think there's still a learning curve in terms of where it would be effective. But we're definitely seeing, you know, those who used the old school synthetic voices, the concatenated speech synthesis, are definitely leaning toward the new machine learning techniques now, which require less audio and also sound a lot more natural in terms of cadence and pronunciation and so on. But you're also starting to see a little bit more in more creative uses. So we're now seeing, obviously, in gaming and things of that sort, but also using voice for pre-production. So let's say if you were going to be doing a very large kind of project, could you have your AI voice do all the pre-production scripting ahead of time, so that the writers can kind of get that right and then bring you in toward the end where you can really have your artistry shine. So those are some of the application spaces. Love to dig in deeper if others are interested too.
That's great. Thank you. Wonderful. Anybody else want to make a comment on that? Can move on. Tasia, good to see you. We've been in a number of rooms together, and it's been a pleasure getting to know you as well. And so welcome to the Voice Den. It would be great to hear your voice.
Thank you, Terry. And I love it because we were just discussing Rubel Patel. Hi, Rubel. We met a while ago when you first had Vocal ID out.
Hi there. I thought I recognized you.
Yes, I came to your house and we discussed, and I was a huge ambassador of the technology because I was thrilled how it was helping people who weren't able to use their voices and how voiceover artists could contribute. I don't know, how many years ago might that be?
It's got to be about 5 years ago now. It was so early on. Yeah, I mean, it's actually, as soon as I saw your name, I'm like, oh, we should definitely talk again, because we're now building out with some of our commercial partners, their voice AI with different talent, and it's sometimes, out of sight, out of mind. So I'm so happy to see you today.
Oh, thank you. Well, Terry and I were discussing it because we were talking about doing a room when we actually were planning it on the intersection of voiceover artists and voice tech. And he mentioned that you would be a great asset. So we discussed it, but this is, here we are all together. And I would love to learn, because as I was telling him, and I'm sure, again, that everyone can appreciate being a voiceover actor for the last 30 years. I call myself a recovering actress and a fully functioning voiceover artist, because I segued into that. A lot of voiceover artists want to understand where they will be still contributing, and it will be more complementary as opposed to completely, and maybe, again, you're just talking about that, how voiceover artists can feel comfortable with this new paradigm without feeling like they're going to be replaced, where that might come, where that cohesion, where that collaboration will happen, because it is such an unknown world, and there's so many things happening. So I would just love your thoughts. I mean, you were mentioning it before, but do you have any thoughts on how that might look now for voiceover artists to feel that they're going to be still able to do what they love? And I'm, myself included. I would love your thoughts.
Sure. Yeah. It's interesting. I get asked this question a lot, like, what is the short-term and the long-term opportunity for talent? And should they really feel like synthetic speech or AI voice is sort of an existential threat to their career? And I would really say that no, not with any technology, there's always going to be some change and there's going to be some displacement, but that doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be a replacement. I think that today's technology for creating synthetic voices is much different than it used to be. And in fact, there was a while where it was sort of plateaued and you only saw one or two talent getting hired to do the big jobs like the Alexa and Siri and whatever else that, voices you're talking about, sort of the Uber voices of these different brands. But what's actually, I think, really interesting now is that as the creation of the synthetic voice becomes more accessible and both faster, cheaper, quicker, more efficient, you actually now have opportunities for multiple talent, different voices that we don't necessarily hear as much. And for people who weren't selected as the Siri, you're not the Susan Bennett, you're not the whoever else these people are, right? Yet your voice is marketable, is monetizable, and so on. And so it's sort of broadening that market. I think if we think about it that way, you can start thinking about the potential opportunities there are. There's already actually a market that has been slightly eating away at the professional voiceover artists, and that is the sort of the gig economy and amateur, voiceover that have been kind of getting the low-paying jobs and doing some of the smaller kinds of gigs. And I think what this allows, if you have your own synthetic voice created, is that some of those jobs come back to you. Rather than having one of those jobs go to an Alexa or a Siri or a Google Voice, there's the potential for monetization in your sleep. So I think those are all the good ways, like the opportunity ways to look at it. Of course it's scary, but I think when you really think about it, an AI engine is going to get about 80-90% of the way in terms of rendering audio. The rest is as much art as it is science. And that has to then go back in the hands of the artists, whether that's the actual voiceover artists, the audio production people. We have a lot of music people today online. And you think about how we're going to create new kinds of media with this new technology. It isn't just going to be a machine that you plug text into and get audio out like a jukebox. It's actually far more complicated than that to create immersive audio experiences. And I think the voiceover artist, the audio technician, the audio engineer, the singers, the musicians, I think there's something in this new industry for a lot of us. And so I think we need to approach it from a perspective of what is this new thing? It is not the synthetic voice of the past. It is not gluing together bits and pieces of audio and stringing them together so that the text looks like and sounds like what the audio looks like what the text said. It's very different. And so I think there's where I would say, we're actually starting to forge what that new future looks like. I hope that sort of just kind of hits at the highlights.
Thank you. I really appreciate that, and it sounds very exciting. And of course, I always love Terry because he's really on the cutting edge of creating these rooms all about this. And knowledge is power, so it's really helpful to understand it. And it's just lovely to reconnect with you. I'll reach out by email.
We'll have to. Leslie and I were speaking about scheduling another room. I know Tasia. We talked about that, and then we had to change the time and. We put that on hold. Leslie and I think, Leslie, did we plan that for next Thursday afternoon? I believe it is. At this time, actually, if I'm not mistaken, it's a week from tomorrow. And so I invite, you can let me know offline, but just that invitation's open there to Tasia, to Rubel, if you guys want to be part of that. But that's sort of the discussion is going to be geared towards that intersection again of voiceover and synthetic voice. So you don't have to answer now, but just that invitation's there if you'd like to be part of that, and then you can let me know. So. Wonderful. Scott, good to see you again. Welcome back to the Voice Den. Always a pleasure to have you here. What are you drinking? What's going on?
Well, I'm right knee deep into a Dr. Pepper, so nothing exciting. But what I'd like to revive is a question that we had on Voice Den after hours. What's the best thing to drink to keep your throat saturated? To keep it good, moist, but not overly moist, and that's what a Dr. Pepper does to me. I'm drinking it for caffeine, not for the intake, not for what it does to my vocal cords. Is it alkaline water? Is it something else? I'll just sit back and listen.
Ooh, That's a good question. I think
I'd like to field this one.
Yeah, you do that. Let's have the voice professionals field these questions. Go for it.
Okay, for anybody that just joined, I'm an opera singer, so I'm being a little bit silly. But so honestly, I have found that water is literally the best. I just think water is the solution, and also being like, well, as a performer, just being mentally fit. Because most of the time, if I get dried out or whatever, it's because I haven't dealt with some sort of like latent fear or some sort of perceived threat or something. And it's hard to remember as a performer, you go out and the audience actually wants to hear you sing and they're not your enemy. And so a lot of performers deal with that. So for me, I just like, if I could just have coffee and water forever, that would be fine with me. I know some singers are like, oh, I don't drink this, I don't do that. And like, God bless them, but without those two beverages, I can't go on stage. I'm sure somebody else has a more satisfying answer than that, but that's my answer.
I did hear recently from Roger Love, who's kind of like the expert, for voice, and that was a great answer. And Sula, I believe it's Sula. I hope it's Sula.
Yes.
Hi, Sula. It is water, but what I loved that he explained, which was I always wanted to understand, was that we have the two holes. One is the drinking, and then one is the other part of our throats. And when you're drinking water directly, it's not actually hydrating in that moment, but when you're drinking it on a regular basis, it fills the body and then also helps the vocal cords stay hydrated. So I think his overall message was water is where it's at, but you want to drink enough that you're hydrated and it's not like in the moment that you're drinking it. Tea is lovely in the moment, but the overall is that you just want to, in general, be hydrated with good old plain water. I don't know that alkaline is any better. But the idea that I understood finally was like, why do you need enough all day? Was that it's not about like the moment, but the overall effect of drinking it on a regular basis. And also, again, caffeine can be quite deleterious. Ooh, I don't get to use that one often. And lemon can also be deleterious. So generally speaking, you're lucky if you can get away with a lot of caffeine, but some people say that can do the opposite. So that's my answer. And I'm going to footnote Roger Love.
That's great. I appreciate you sharing that as well, Tasia, because like intuitively now that makes so much sense, right? You've got your swallowing tube,
right.
Your topics, and you got your breathing tube,
exactly.
your trachea, and you don't drink the water down your breathing tube or you're going to choke. So that makes a lot of sense that you need to be drinking the water. I don't know why that's that's an epiphany for me.
He said it. I was like, oh yeah, that makes so much sense. But that's why, just drinking it in the moment isn't going to do it for you. So it's a great, I hope that helps, Scott.
Yes, thank you. What we have here in Texas is we have humidity and we have high pollen. So I would think for a voice actor, this is not the best climate for those two things, because you've got pollen getting in your lungs or being filtered by your lungs or what have you. I have bad allergies in the first place, so I'm medicated daily for allergies, and we've got a huge bad pollen, super bad right now. And I was teaching today for a solid 8 hours, and it kept on catching me in the back of the throat, saying, you're not going to talk for a little bit. So now I would say also that's another challenge of knowing where you're going to be, and I'm sure Sula's run into this, where she's performed in a venue that's had the air conditioning too cold or too hot or too humidity, and it's definitely affected not only the voice but the breathing from the diaphragm. And when I teach, I do sit down, and I should stand up more because you get that good voice from the deep vibrato from standing.
From the diaphragm breathing, you're absolutely right. Much easier when you're standing to have that.
This is like a masterclass right here on how to take care of your voice and how to have good voice. And boy, we got some really knowledgeable people here on the stage. Scott, it's a great question. Awesome. I'd love to get Ted into the conversation here. Ted, good to see you as well. Ted is the Chief of Ethics for attn.live, which is a remarkable position in its own. I don't know a lot of companies that have a Chief of Ethics. Ted, good to see you.
Good to see you. So you want me to chime in on how I keep my voice healthy?
Yeah, why don't you give us, if there's anything else you wanted to say in terms of an introduction, what you're drinking, and whatever you want to contribute to, the open discussion.
I had coffee earlier today, and I'm not drinking anything right now. And the way I keep my voice healthy is I try not to say negative things. I try to say positive things. So that's my contribution to the conversation right now. Of course, that might be taken in a little different direction, but I think it's important to say positive things.
Yeah, I love that. And when I look at the stage here, and I look at Roger's smiling face, and I saw him clapping his mic there, I'm sure that Roger agrees. Any comments on that, Roger?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's all about your mindset, right? Mind over matter, right? So anytime I hear comments like that, I clap.
Me too. By the way, with that said, I have a free affirmation meditation app that is completely free, and I voiced it, and it's all about saying kind things to yourself. So I'd love to just share that, if that's okay.
Yes, please. How can we all resource it?
Sure. It's called Haven, Haven. It looks like a little haven. It's a lighthouse. And it's called Haven Guided Affirmations. And it's free at both stores. And it's broken down into 9 different masteries, all about 10 minutes or less. And health, wealth, abundance, confidence, stress reduction, leadership. And I co-wrote each one and voiced it. And it's just something that I love handing out as much, because right now, of course, we're all going through a lot, and it's just there's diaphragmatic breathing in there, and affirmations, and just a relaxing, soothing meditation that's all about that. So because you mentioned that, Ted, and I do believe in that, the first person that we must be kind to is ourselves, and then when we do that, we have much more bandwidth to be kind to everybody else.
Roger, can you talk with Tasia a bit about how she could leverage Samsung Bixby as a platform? For those that don't recognize it, there's over 1 billion devices in the world that have access to Samsung Bixby. It's not just Samsung devices and Samsung TVs and Samsung tablets and computers and cell phones. It's every single Android. And in fact, you can access Bixby if you want on other devices, other softwares. And there's been times in the last several years that Bixby has been the most loved interface by consumers. Not always, but the thing that's remained steady is it's been the most respected and praised and celebrated platform for developers. And so, Tasia, there have been a lot of stuff that Roger and his team has developed so that someone like yourself with Haven can take what you already have and very simply get it integrated into this voice platform. Roger, can you talk a bit about that, since you are one of our voice influencers today, and this is the happy hour of voice?
Yeah. So I don't, hard, it's a kind of a deeper, longer discussion about what the right thing to do is. But, I think one of our focuses is on voice beyond, really thinking beyond the smart speaker. So what would a voice experience be like? Obviously, if you talk to your phone, what is it like to talk to your TV? What's it like to talk to your appliances? What's it like to just eventually talk to your, be able to talk to your technology no matter what it is? So how that relates to, and voice act. I mean, it's interesting because I was thinking about the discussion about the business, right? And obviously the TTS voices and that, and is that a threat? I don't think so, because I don't think they're very good right now, honestly. But I also think one of the things that's exciting is that as we get used to all talking, right, using the way of communicating that we were born with our devices, it opens up the marketplace, so the opportunities, right, for voice to be such an important medium, right? So if we can talk to our devices, right, our devices are going to need to talk back to us, and they need to talk back to us in a pleasing way that suits us well. So I guess I'm not exactly answering the question, because it's a longer conversation about that, but I think we focus a lot on voice enabling and AI enabling all the devices that you might already have bought in your house, right? So that's your TV, that's your appliances, that's your stereo, that's your computer, that's your phone, instead of actually buying a device that's voice specific.
So a follow-up question for that then, Roger, would be, let's say that Tasia, her and her team, they're having a skill level of 5 when it comes to figuring stuff out with something like Samsung Bixby. They've never built a capsule, but they probably figured out other things, right? They've mastered other tools. If they're just an average technical skill level, and I don't know you and your team, so I'm just assuming you're average in this one area of tech development, would you encourage her to reach out to someone like Pat Sweetman with Voice First AI, who's probably one of the most affordable agencies that serve Samsung Bixby and creates capsules? Or would you encourage her to figure it out herself by going to your blog and watching tutorial videos? Help us all understand that.
Well, I mean, that gets to, so my state of where we are, where the voice industry are, where Bixby is and where Alexa is and Google is it still requires an awful lot of developer chops to actually go build something, right?
Hey, Roger, can I say something? I can help.
Yeah. Armel, please jump in.
I was just going to say, Tasia, I think actually you and Mika should connect because we actually currently work on something I think could have exactly what you're working on. We also available on Samsung Bixby, so this could be a great way for you to make your content available there. But we actually work on a new set of features that I think will be. I mean, I can't share it now, but I think it would be really good what you're actually doing. So.
Thank you. I'm very interested. Please feel free to connect with me because I love to learn, and I'm completely. This is such a new world for me, and to be able to use my talents and to reach more people, especially with the content that's meaningful. It's wonderful.
I was going to add in that because I know we've been talking about music and the music industry and performing arts and things, and it's interesting. Ian, you talked about Pat Sweetman and Voice First AI, right? Because that's really a voice for musicians, right? And that's their whole thing, is to build a voice presence for musicians. I mean, one of the things that seems to me that I look at the industry is voice has been really good for music, right? Because it makes it incredibly easy to play music and do that. But I've been really surprised that I don't see more musicians out there that don't have some kind of presence in the voice ecosystem, right? Because musicians drive such passionate, fans and people are so interested in what they do. So why can't I talk to my favorite singer? Why can't I talk to my favorite, whether it's a pop singer or opera singer or somebody in between? I would love to see that the creatives of the world go out and leverage voice as more of a, I'll call it a marketing tool, which sometimes is crass, but I mean, it is all about marketing yourself as a brand and as a creative and getting more people to listen to you. So I've been surprised that industry hasn't adopted as fast as I would expect.
It's great comments. Wonderful. Thank you for that. Thank you for that discussion. That's also, just before I introduce Tiarn and Ahmed, again, we've got just under 10 minutes here to go for the happy hour. We are streaming, we are recording, so just be aware of that if you're up on stage. And if you do want to get the special limited NFT for today's session, you go to thevoiceden.club, where we are giving one away to everybody in the room. You just put your email address and your name in, and the secret code for today is Bixby, BIXBY, and that's at thevoiceden.club. So Tiarn, always a pleasure to see you here and hear your voice. Welcome to the Voice Den. The key question, the most critical question everybody's answering is, what are you drinking? And then you can of course introduce yourself.
Hello everybody. Thank you so much for having me here today, Terry, Ian, and the rest of the panel. It's such a pleasure as always. I'm actually drinking water, nothing fun for once. I cannot wait to have a cocktail a little bit later. So my name's Tian. I work in conversational AI, specifically multilingual. I have the pleasure of working with some of the largest enterprises in the globe, building some great conversational platforms at the moment. But more than that, I'm just passionate about voice and voice tech and all things encompassing of that topic. So it's lovely to be here, and thank you for welcoming me up on stage.
Wonderful.
We're so glad to have you. And I would like Ted to share something that special that he just accomplished with our team. But before I do, I don't want to run out of time. And so does anybody have anything specific to Clubhouse, but also just specific to the voice tech industry happening tomorrow? Like Tiana, I know you do. You have something going on Thursday, happening tomorrow or Friday or even this week that you'd like to take a moment to let us all know about so that we can potentially join or maybe help, retweet whatever you have going on. So Tiana, do you want to start and let us know what 1, 2, 4 different Clubhouse rooms you have spun up that we can jump into coming up?
Sure, thank you. Mine's a little bit different tomorrow. It is what's hot in AI, but we're covering life sciences. So we have some fairly big hitters in the life sciences space joining tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. Nothing like pulling together the room at the last minute. But mine's a little bit different this week.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing to me. Life sciences and AI. That's
should be fun.
Anybody else have anything else going on this week as far as rooms you want to share?
Well, it's non-tech, so I don't know that I'm allowed to share.
Oh, share.
Yes, of course, please. We all want to know what you're doing.
Okay, well, so what I've done in translating my passion to give great voice, which is my platform, which means to move, touch, and impact using your voice. And I teach it through utilizing the skills of an actor and a voiceover actor in your own life, so you can play your professional and personal roles more successfully. So that's kind of how I always approach teaching. And I did a TEDx talk because I really think that what's allowed me to be so successful as a voiceover artist in my life has also allowed me to be a much better mother, friend, sister, daughter, all the places I have to use my voice to connect. So of course this platform has been like the culmination of my life's work, because look, we're all using our voices again instead of sharing just a picture on a little Snapchat and framing ourselves in this digitalized communication. So every Thursday I love to just have a Give Great Voice room, talk about those skills and how we can use our voices, because not everybody feels as confident on this platform. And so I teach this, and it's my passion, and I always assemble people to help. And tomorrow the focus is how can we channel our inner superheroes to help us give great voice. Why do we love superheroes, super Wonder Woman, and how we can use that gravitas when we're kind of thinking about that commanding voice, and how that can help us in our confidence so that we can get up on those stages and ask the questions and really put our voice forth. So I'd love to invite any of you into the room for your contributions, your thoughts. It's really, truly my passion to help people feel that each one of our voices is unique and beautiful and deserves to be heard. So thank you. That's 4 p.m. tomorrow Pacific, and love to have any of you there.
Well, that's so empowering. Do you have a club that everybody could jump into and join? That way they get the notification if they're not following you?
Yes, thank you so much. This is such a great feeling. Give great voice. It's all the same. That when we give great voice, we are giving a gift to each other and to those that receive it. So that's my passion. I'm TEDx talk. I'd love you guys to check it out. But yes, the Give Great Voice Club is all about supporting each other. And again, all that we're doing right here, every beautiful voice that's touching each other and being kind to each other and supporting each other. This is like why Clubhouse is, I call it crack house, because like our dopamine's going off, our serotonin, we're all in our COVID, isolation, and all of a sudden, wow, we're having conversations that are like more impactful than we had in my lifetime, because we're talking, I get to talk to Rubel after 5 years, this is just the best. So thank you so much for the kindness again. It's much appreciated.
It's so good. And I loved when you turned on the superhero voice. You can totally hear it. It's just so good. It's just, that's the power of voice. I love it. Wonderful. We just have a couple minutes left. I'll do the final reminder here that if you do want to grab one of those NFTs for this session, thevoiceden.club, with the secret code Bixby. Ian, you wanted to turn it over to Ted. I'll let you set that up, or maybe you want to go ahead, Ted. I'm not quite sure what Ian was asking about there.
Yeah, I'll do the initial kickoff, and then Ted, you can kind of fill in the gaps. So, we built the Attention Live product a year and a half ago. We started it 3.5 years ago. Very, very complicated product. There are several things our product does, nothing else does, which is broadcast audio like this. We're currently broadcasting directly in real time to Amazon's Lexi devices. We're broadcasting our audio in real time to YouTube. In addition to that, our product has a voice interface. So, we're very interested in Samsung Bixby, right? So Roger Kibbe is kind enough to meet with me and our CTO Landrew to investigate what does it look like, not just to say to Amazon's Lexi device, open Attention Live, open Terry Fisher's channel, listen, so you don't have to put thumbs on glass and fingers on a keyboard, but what would it be like to one day be able to say to Bixby, Bixby, open Attention Live, and Bixby says back to you, do you want to listen or go live? And you never touch anything, and you say go live, and right there, hands-free, voice first, you create. And so we're very aggressive in terms of doing the most advanced possible guinea pig, bleeding edge technology development for the good of content creators and those that consume their content. We also create NFTs. So every time we broadcast, it creates an NFT. So today, we worked it out to do a broadcast with someone that many people know of, a couple, Roma Downey, who was touched by an angel and the co-founder of Lightworkers, who MGM just purchased, and Mark Burnett, who is the founder of several reality TV shows, Survivor and Shark Tank and Apprentice. And Ted Haas, our chief of ethics, worked with our friends Mark and Karen Finlay from the Leaders and Followers Foundation, and they did a broadcast. They broadcast the video through Facebook using Zoom, as many people do, but they broadcast to YouTube using Attention Live. They broadcast to Amazon's Lexi devices using Attention Live, and they created an NFT from the conversation about their new film, Resurrection Movie. And I'm just really happy. For us, it's a big deal. It's a big deal to have a media mogul like Mark Burnett, who has basically done no media interviews pretty much for the last year, to come out and be able to use our tool and for it to provide real value to him and his team at Lightworkers to get their message out about their new film is a real win and a real joy for us. So Ted, you want to say anything about that since you were leading the helm?
It was super fun and it went great. The interview was just very positive. It's St. Patrick's Day, and I learned that Roma Downey is Irish, or at least she puts on a really good Irish accent. I hadn't known that before. Maybe I should have. And Mark and Karen Finlay are also Irish. And it's St. Patrick's Day, and they're talking about Jesus and about the resurrection, which that's St. Patrick. That's more what he was about than bangers and mash. And their film's coming out on. It's going to be ready on the Holy Week, I think the 27th. You can see it, and it was very fun. It was a first, and it was very, very encouraging to hear them talk and share, and I was glad we were able to stream that through Attention Live. Yes.
Now, of course, most of the energy is on Facebook.
That's awesome. Congratulations to you guys. That's a big
Thank you
deal.
so much.
That's a big deal. So it's a big milestone. We're just over the time here now. I do want to close things out. I want to thank everybody. I just want to give maybe Rubel and Roger any final comments. If you just want to, anything that comes to mind after spending an hour here, or anything you want to share, where can people get in touch with you? Here's a chance for you to share what's on your mind. So Rubel, do you want to go first?
Sure. I actually wanted to share that we are looking for a full stack engineer. And if anyone is interested or knows somebody who would be a software developer that has full stack expertise and is interested in voice and digging deeper into it, we'd love to consider you, have you. And I think other than that, it was really great to reconnect with you, Tasha, and to see so many of you today and really touch on some of the topics that across these various different industries that are intersecting with technology today and voice. Really nice to be here. So great to hear from all of you. Thanks.
Wonderful. Well, thanks so much for being here, Rubel. It's always nice to hear your voice and to connect. Roger, over to you.
Well, I just wanted to share what this is why I love Clubhouse, is the number of different people who jump up on stage and talk about what they're being a technologist. You often talk too much to other technologists. So I love when people from all walks of life jump up and talk about what they're doing. And then I always think about, okay, how can technology help you or be an enabler for whatever your passion is. So I think that's amazing. Another example of a great conversation. I'm a technologist, but actually I have a degree in psychology. So I'm a humanist as well and love human behavior. So I mentioned that because I'm interested in lots of things, but you can follow me on Twitter at Roger Kibbe, pretty active there. But yeah, so thank you. I just wanted to say thank you everyone for jumping on stage, because I love the conversation. I never know where it's going to go, and that's what's so fabulous about it.
Wonderful. Well, thank you to Rubel. Thank you, Roger. Thank you, Ian, everybody, Nigel, Armel, Leslie, Tasia, Scott, Ted, Charn, and everybody in the audience, Louis, Tim, Joyce, Clarissa. Thank you for joining us in the Voiced In for the happy hour of voice. Feel free to join the club. You just hit the Voiced In icon at the top. And we do this every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 4:30 Pacific. We have a big event next Wednesday at thevoicedin.com. You can check that out. But until then, we will see you on Friday at 4:30. Have a wonderful
See you Friday, everybody. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Terry.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
See you all. Thank you. Great joining.